kind of ramping it up. We're going, you know what, we're getting close to where we're going to go out and do the real thing. I can't be like handicapping him, you know, giving him all that advantage, because he's going to get out there and he's going to be lost the first time we go out and really shed hunt. So what we're going to do, we need to just make things a little tougher for him so it's a little bit more like the real deal. So what are we going to do? We have to actually get rid of a lot of scent to bring this down to where it's really going to be. What I'll do, I will take, I'm just going to take a bucket, and I'm going to put about a gallon of water in that. If you've deer hunted or bow hunted, you know that all of the scent eliminating spray that you can put on them. I'm just going to take this. It's a wash. I'm going to put it in the bucket with that gallon of water, right? So I'm going to work on now descenting my antlers. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my antlers in here. I got my water in there. I'm going to close that top off, and then I'm just going to shake it up, because that's going to get your descenting on all of your antlers, okay? Now, I'm going to take the top off, and you're going to go, well, then you're just going to go in there and grab them, right? Well, no, you just defeated your purpose of taking it off. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to do this when you first start off, but when you get ready for the real deal, then you're going to get the gloves, right? You're going to get the rubber gloves, because you're going to want to keep your scent off them. I'm going to come down in here. I'm going to get my antlers out. And if you use an antler about this size, you know, you can put about 3 or 4 of them in there. And you don't have to have them this size. You can have smaller ones too. So now I've got this antler like here, and let's just say I've got 2 gloves on, right? I've got the majority of the scent off of here. Now I'm just going to come in, and I'm just going to give it what it's normally going to have when I go out shed hunting, right? It's going to have that ring right here of wax. And you're going to go, okay, then you're just going to walk out there and put them out, right? No, because what's he going to do? He's now going to just trail me down. He's still using part of his arsenal. But we can't do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to put on my rubber boots. I'm going to put my rubber boots on, make sure that they don't have scent on them, probably hit them with some scent spray. Then I'm going to go set them out. Are you with me at this stage? Is we're fine-tuning this enough so when we start working at this level, we're getting at the final stages before we're going to actually go out and do the real thing. So we got to get everything scent-free, little scent on the bottom of the antler, boots, and now we're going to go out and do it. And you're going to do this for the first time, and you might get out there and go, geez, we didn't have that good of a day today, training. He didn't really seem to catch on. Well, what you're doing is you've just narrowed down. You've narrowed things down for him, so you've made it a lot more difficult. So you can't just do one day of this and then go, okay, we're ready to go. Once you start training at this level, you need to do it for a little bit. So all of a sudden, he doesn't expect that big whiff. He expects that little faint, that smells like what I'm looking for, but he doesn't get blown over with all of that scent. That's when you start getting to the point where you are ready to start going out. All right, I'm going to give him, I'm going to just put one out. Now this isn't anything like, how'd that feel on your ears? This isn't anything like what you're going to do, but it gives him a chance to make a retrieve here. And we're going to talk about where we're going to go, where we're going to be looking. Here, find the bone. Attaboy, let's go. Come on. Here. Good job. All right, kennel. Let's talk about where to go. And I want to go through one other piece of equipment. If you've got a retriever that swims, remember, I want my dogs looking for that shape, right? Looking and nose. In the summertime, when I'm working and it's hot out and I want to just kind of keep things going, you could still do your normal retrieving with your other dummies. I'm throwing this in the water. Lightweight, floats. as he's going out there, he's still on a regular basis seeing this. It's a good way if it's hot out to still get him doing some retrieving. You can still send it, but I want the dog always thinking about the possibility of picking and looking for antlers. All right, now, this is what we're out there after, okay? These are some really nice ones. This isn't the reality. Those of you who deer hunt know that, these aren't around every corner. Probably 95% of what you're initially going to start finding is going to be the smaller antlers, which means what? There's less scent out there. So everything I just talked to you about getting things down and make it a little harder, it's a big thing. It's a big thing, because a lot of them you're going to find to begin with are going to be smaller. Why are we finding some of these bigger ones? Well, there's going to be some reasons. I'm going to tell you why. Most of the time, what you're going to do, anybody here fish or have gone fishing? Sure. What do they say? 90% of the fish in a lake are in 10% of the lake, right? They are. I mean, they're not just all spread out. They're in certain places. Shed hunting is exactly the same. It is exactly the same. Well, you go, here's where I deer hunt every year. Okay, that's good. Minnesota, you get in this Midwest, Kansas, winter has a lot to do with what these deer are doing. Now, if you have warm climates, those deer stay spread out. The colder climates that you're working in, those deer are going to yard up and they're going to herd up in the wintertime. December, January, February, this is when they're dropping those antlers, all right? So where that deer was, in September and October, doesn't mean that they're going to be there in the winter months. As a matter of fact, that group gets tighter and tighter and tighter. So it is a lot like fishing. You go, okay, I got to find that rock pile out there, where the fish are. I've got to find that point. I've got to find those things where they're at. Because if you take your dog out and you're never successful finding something, pretty soon he's going to get bored to death with it. All right, so a little bit of scouting. Areas that I look for. It's pretty easy if you have access to the country at all a little bit. Anybody who's out in the country knows, okay, hey, you see any deer around here? Oh yeah, Bill Johnson, the farmer about 5 miles away from here, he complains about them constantly. They're in his hay piles, they're eating all of his hay for his cattle, all right? So you can narrow it down. Your conservation officer, these are little tips now. Hey, where are the deer? He knows because he's getting complaints on a regular basis because they are normally where all the feed is. Oh, they're over at so-and-so's farm. All right, so the nice part about shed hunting, you're not going up there going, I really want to shoot that, 200-pound buck that you've got, on your property. You knock on the door and go, what? I wonder if I could go out with my dog and see if I can find some antlers. First of all, they look at you like you're from outer space. Like, you want to do what? Well, yeah, I want to look for antlers with my dog. Now, you may even want to bring up the fact that if I do find them, that means that you're not going to ride over them with your tractor tire and have $200 worth of repair on your tractor tires. And if you're dog training, even if you come across somebody who goes, well, I kind of like to go look for them a little bit on my own, but you got a dog that does this? Yeah, you mind if I go with you? And you can even say, I don't even need to keep them. I just want to work my dog and find him. So it's an easier on than if you're going out trying to, obtain hunting permission. All right, so we've got our spots. Where I find probably 75% at least are going to be within the areas where these deer in the winter are actually getting their food source. And the colder and the tougher the winter it is, the closer those deer move into where that food source is. If it's a little nicer winter, your perimeter is going to get bigger. So I'll start at the primary food source, and then those trails, you're going to just see them. They'll be like highways. I'll look in there in my food source area on the outside edges, and then I start working off on all of those trails that are leading out, because those are going to those bedding areas. Okay? I find probably within that 150, 200, 300 yards in a lot of cases if these deer aren't getting pushed. I'm going to find the majority of them. And I'm going to find them where the deer have been bedded down. So and it's one place that I never looked that much when I was shed hunting on my own, because a lot of cases where I was looking, where the deer were in our area, they weren't in the wide open woods, right? They were in CRP this high. They were in cattail sloughs where, I mean, it's just like needle in a haystack. There's almost, you know, you might stumble on one once in a while, but you don't have a nose and you weren't going to find them. But the majority of those bigger shed antlers that I was finding always seemed to be in that highest, thickest cover. And it makes sense because those deer aren't standing out. Those bigger deer don't stand out in the open that long. They're in that bedding area. They get up. They're a lot like a dog. I don't know if you've ever seen deer get up out of a bed periodically. Get up out of that bed, stretch, shake a little bit. Those antlers are starting to get loose. That little shake, down they go. So it makes sense that in that bedding area, you're going to find a lot of them. Areas that I always wanted to hunt a lot, but I just didn't. Pick cornfields. All right, a pick cornfield. You know a pick cornfield? You know, it's all harvested, right? You look out there and you go, I know there's antlers there. But that pick cornfield looks like 9 zillion antlers. All of those stalks are sitting up, right? You get a migraine after about 10 minutes walking through there looking. Keep in mind now, you can work that with your dog because he's going to use his nose to pick up those antlers that you're not. So you don't have to really be concentrating as much in there. Let that dog do his job in there. Let him work. Is he naturally going to go out there and look in that pick cornfield? No. Well, you go, why not? For those of you who have pheasant hunted, sure, you're going to get that. If you haven't, how many antlers did you go and hide out in a pick cornfield? Geez, I never thought about that. I really pretty much just put them in the grass behind the house. You with me? Or did he ever find anything in a pick cornfield? No. Well, why would he start to look there? So when you're training, you're going to start looking for, where are these places I want him to instinctively go look for them? If you have a bird dog, he kind of knows that deal. He's going to go in the grass. He's going to go in those sloughs because that's where the birds were. But you've got to start putting your antlers out as you train a little bit more in the areas that you expect to find them. Deer trails. Once again, I'm going to wear my rubber boots and I'm going to have my antlers, I'm going to have them, you know, descented, and I'm going to just put them off of these deer trails a little bit. I'm going to start putting them where I expect them to find them. All right, success. Success with this is so important. You've done all this training. God, you're really proud of him. He's doing a great job, and you're ready to go, right? You go, okay, we're going to get her done. And the worst thing that could happen to you when you go out and do the real thing is to fail. I mean, it's not good. It is not good because you got all of this enthusiasm, you're doing find the bone, this whole kind of deal, and dog goes out, he's expecting something to happen and you don't come up with anything. It's no different than taking a dog hunting birds and he doesn't find something. So what I'll do is I'll take, and I'll actually wear like my bird hunting vest, and I'll take one of my smaller antlers, maybe a couple, and I've got them cleaned up really good. And I'm going to just put them back here, all right? I've got them here. This is my ace in the hole. So we're going, and you go like, you know what, this isn't looking too good. And I don't want a young dog to go very long without coming up with something positive. I'll just take, when he's not looking, and I'll flip one out there and let him find something if I have to. All right? How about scouting? You know this area is pretty good. You go, you walk it maybe yourself a little bit, and you go, okay, there's one. There's one over there. The nice part is, it's not like birds. Tomorrow it's going to be there. You know, it's not going to, like, you didn't run off or didn't go look for something to eat. You can come back with the dog knowing that you've got those antlers there, and you can work that dog in and get them. And one other thing I want to tell you, you're going to see X amount. Like if you've already shed on it, you're going to see them. Don't walk over there and pick it up. All right, you put all this time into this working the dog, and you go, yeah, he didn't find it on his own, but What you're going to do is you're going to see, okay, there it is up there, wind's this way, and you're just going to kind of get the dog now working in that direction. Let him find it. All right, because every one that dog finds on his own, he doesn't know that you saw it. All right, he thinks that he found it. You make a big deal out of it, and that dog's going to progress that much faster. Okay, so one of the things that you need to remember is that you're still hunting, but you want to put the dog in a position where he's going to find it versus you going over and picking it up. You just kind of eliminated everything that you've been working for. Another nice part about this is on a bird dog, you know, especially like a retrieving breed, if you're hunting pheasants, it's like he's got to be 25 yards away, right? I mean, you can't get more than 25 yards away from me. The neat part about this shed hunting, you don't have to worry about that. I mean, he's not going to chase those sheds out of the field. All right, they're not going to go running, oh God, there they all go. You know, he's chasing those sheds out of the field. They're going to be there. So what you can do is you can let them have a little bit more freedom to work. All right, and check in periodically. I'll do a bell in a lot of cases if I'm working like that higher cover, more so that I can just kind of know, you know, I can kind of keep track of where the dog's at. If you want a beeper, if you have a pointing dog and you have a beeper on them and maybe just want to do locate to know where they're at, you can do that. But the thing is, you don't have to over handle the dog. And if you're a bird hunter, some of you aren't, shed hunting with a dog, you know this if you bird hunted, you're going to cover 15 to 20 times the ground that you ever would if you're looking for sheds on your own. So think about that, how much ground they're going to cover. They've got the eyes and they've got the nose. So you've just upped your chances right there. One other place, you know one of the best places for sheds? You're probably within about 15 minutes right now. Metropolitan or suburban USA. It is. Think about how many places that you know of that maybe within the metro area you can't hunt. No hunting allowed. There's deer there, right? You've seen them. I've seen them downtown Minneapolis crossing. I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. There's a deer crossing the road right here. They find those areas because they're safe, they're sanctuary. Some of the biggest deer, some of the biggest sheds that I've seen have come out of metro area Minneapolis. They're untouched. In fact, they're fed. People love them. They're the pets. So being able to do that, parks, nature reserves, if you can get in there and have permission to do it, you're in there. So it's a non-evasive sport. It's not like you're trying to bring a high-powered rifle in there to do it. You're taking the dog for a walk, and if you'd have them off leash, it's one more thing to do. Gals, this isn't a guy thing either. This is a family thing. This is kids. This is just going out in the spring and looking for sheds and finding them. You know, my wife and I take time every year and we go out and we shed hunt. You know, X amount of weekends we're out shed hunting, finding sheds. It's a great way to go out. You work the dog. It's one more season that you have. It is something that you can actually do as a family as well. One other thing I want to point out. There now is the point where there's competitions for this. The first World Championships were held last year. Actually, a young man from Wisconsin won it, the World Shed Dog Championships last year. Josh Miller, he's actually here at the Sport Dog booth. He won it with his dog Easton. So there are events going on now. You can actually qualify to go to the World Championships. In 2012, there'll be events where you can actually go out, work your dog, and be able to earn a title, a junior shed hunting title or a master shed hunting title. So it gives you that incentive to go out and actually do some work. Gail, we're going to open it up for some questions here, something that you might have a question on, and Gail's going to come over. Raise your hand. I'll answer the question that you might have.
Tom, what's your best day? Like, how many sheds did your dog bring back?
Yeah, best day of shed hunting, and I do remember that. You know, it's kind of like your best day pheasant hunting. What was it like? Best day shed hunting, I think, was For me, it was a 10-day, it was a 10-shed day, and it was just kind of like hitting that one honey hole. I mean, I couldn't do anything wrong. The dog couldn't do anything wrong. We hit a spot where these deer had been all winter long. I mean, it was really secluded, so they hadn't been moved around. They were in just a pattern of every day, get up, yawn, go over to the buffet table, get something to eat, come back, take a nap. And so they were really condensed in this one spot. And it literally, it was. When I say it's like an Easter egg hunt, it was. And every time the dog shows up with an antler, I train, you know, we train for a living, right? And how many millions of retrieves have I seen dogs make on birds while we're training everything? I gotta tell you, the first time my dog came back with a shed antler, I was like a little kid again. I was like, oh, you got, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I'm sure some of you go, hey dude, it's just an antler. But it was so different and so unique that it was exciting. And people who do this, they tell me the same thing. I mean, it's just, it's something exciting to see. Never thought a dog could do it. So you'll remember those really good days. Go ahead.
I know you said that the dogs don't really lose the instinct to continue to hunt for birds, but I have a pup that I'm still training. Should I wait to do shed training, or can I do them at the same time?
No, you can actually, he's got a puppy and he's thinking it's gonna be a bird hunter as well. You're saying, should he wait? No, I'll give you an example here. Let's say that I want to throw my training dummy for my puppy for my bird stuff, right? And I want him to get picking up that training dummy. You can be throwing that antler as well to get those little retrieves. You can be doing this. He doesn't know really the difference between that canvas dummy. It's something you're throwing, right? It'd be no different than saying, could I throw him a stick and then throw him the dummy, or and will that stick mess him up because he won't be a bird dog? No, it's just another thing that they're going to want to pick up. So it won't mess him up. And really, when you start going from maybe your dummy to birds, your birds are always going to take over. They just will. You'll go bird, antler. Well, you got pretty much the bird. So it's a non-competition, especially if you're hunting sheds and you're in one of your pheasant spots and it's like there's pheasants in there. You got to go, okay, hold on now here, we're doing the shed thing. It'll always pull the dog in that direction. So that's what I mentioned when I started off. It's never going to take your dog away from being a bird dog. You're going to have to pull your dog back into reality like we're shed hunting. So if you're bumping pheasants, I'll actually try to get some areas where if I know I'm going to be in that situation, I know I'm going to have to handle my dog more to try to keep him on track. So no conflict.
We've got 3